You have killed lavender before. And if you are being honest with yourself, you probably blamed yourself for it. You told yourself you do not have a green thumb. That lavender is just difficult. That some people can grow it, and you are simply not one of them. You bought another plant the following spring, told yourself this time would be different, and watched the same thing happen again. Here is what nobody told you when you were standing at the nursery register. Lavender does not die because you are a bad gardener. It dies because almost everything you have been told about caring for it is wrong. The watering advice is wrong. The soil advice is wrong. The pruning advice, and I want you to hear this specifically, is catastrophically wrong in a way that permanently damages the plant and gives you no explanation for why. What I am going to give you today does not come from a seed packet or a magazine. It comes from understanding what lavender actually is, where it actually lives, and why everything most people do to help it is exactly backwards. 2 things to hold on to right now. Secret number 3 reverses the single most common lavender mistake in American home gardening, and it is the one that saves more established plants than anything else on this list. And secret number 5 is the reason most lavender sold at American nurseries is already wrong for your garden before you ever get it home. I am going to tell you exactly how to walk into a nursery and never make that mistake again. This channel exists to give you exactly this kind of information. The real reasons plants fail, not the polite version on the back of a nursery tag. If you are not subscribed yet, do it now. Every week this channel publishes the specific plant information most gardening sources get wrong. Subscribe so it finds you directly. Before secret 1, tell me in the comments how many lavender plants you have lost. 1? 4? More than you want to say out loud? Drop the number and your zone. Because a gardener 1 comment below yours is standing at a nursery right now, about to make the same mistake you made, and your honesty might be the thing that finally stops the cycle. Let's go. Secret number 1. Lavender is not a garden plant. It is a cliff plant. This is the mindset shift, and it changes everything that follows. When most gardeners picture ideal conditions for a plant, they picture rich soil, consistent moisture, shelter from extremes, and careful attention. Those are exactly the conditions lavender needs to die. Every quality that makes a garden bed hospitable to most plants makes it hostile to lavender. The organic matter holds moisture around the crown. The fertility pushes soft, floppy growth that disease moves through easily. The attentiveness produces a watering schedule the plant was never designed to receive. Lavender in its native habitat grows out of fractured limestone on exposed slopes. The soil is essentially mineral. Rainfall drains away within minutes of falling. The plant has not been watered, fed, or fussed over since it germinated from a seed that blew in on the wind. The plants you see in photographs of Provençal fields are not being coddled. They are being ignored on an agricultural scale, and they look spectacular because of it. Find the worst spot in your garden. The one with the thinnest soil, the most brutal sun, the least shelter from drying wind, the longest stretches between natural rain. If you have a south-facing slope where the soil is rocky and shallow and other plants have refused to establish, that is your lavender bed. If there is a strip along a driveway where the ground bakes in reflected heat all afternoon, that is a better lavender location than any carefully prepared garden bed you own. Stop trying to give lavender your best conditions. Your best conditions are its worst. The stress is not a problem to solve. The stress is the mechanism that makes this plant beautiful, fragrant, and long-lived. A pampered lavender is a boring lavender. Keep it lean, keep it mean, and it will reward you. Secret number 2. The drainage you are providing is not extreme enough. Every article you have ever read says well-drained soil. What none of them tell you is that their version of well-drained and lavender's version of well-drained are not the same thing. Not even close. Here is what genuine lavender drainage looks like. Water poured onto the soil surface should be completely absorbed and moving away from the root zone within seconds. Not minutes, seconds. If you water and see any pooling at all, even briefly, the drainage is insufficient. And I want to be specific about what fixes it because people reach for sand and compost, and both of them are wrong. Sand compacts. Compost holds moisture. You want coarse horticultural grit or crushed gravel, the stuff that feels almost aggressive in your hand. Sharp, chunky, the kind water moves through the way it moves through a handful of pebbles. Remove at least half the native soil from your planting area and replace it with that. Mix it thoroughly until the texture is visibly gritty throughout the entire planting zone. Then build a mound. And I want to be clear, this is not decorative. It is the step most gardeners skip, and it is one of the most important things on this list. Raise the planting surface 2 to 4 inches above the surrounding soil grade and plant on top of that rise. 2 to 4 inches sounds modest. Standing beside a plant you have built it for, it looks almost aggressive. That is exactly right. Water migrates away from the crown rather than pooling toward it. The crown is where lavender dies. It rots before the roots do. It rots in moisture conditions that would not trouble most other plants at all. The mound keeps it in the dry, elevated position it requires. For containers, terracotta is the only correct pot material. Not plastic, not glazed ceramic. Terracotta breathes and actively wicks excess moisture out through the pot wall. Mix 1 part coarse grit into every 2 parts of potting medium before planting. Remove the saucer permanently or commit to emptying it within minutes of every watering. A lavender plant sitting above standing water in a saucer is already dying. The visible symptoms will appear in 3 to 6 weeks. The damage is happening right now. Secret number 3. Your watering is the reason it keeps dying. This is the one. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. Lavender does not need a watering schedule. It has a watering threshold, and that threshold is far drier than anything you have been doing. Here is the actual rule. For the first 2 weeks after planting, water it once deeply and let it start finding its feet. After that, and this is the part most people get wrong, you only water when 2 things are both true at the same time. No measurable rainfall for 2 to 3 weeks, and the soil 2 inches down is completely dry when you push your finger into it. Both of those. Not one of them. Both. In a normal season, with normal rainfall in most American climates, those 2 conditions may not both be true more than 3 or 4 times between spring and fall. That is how often you water lavender after establishment. 3 or 4 times in a growing season. Not weekly. Not when it looks a little tired. Not when August arrives and you assume it must be thirsty. The wilting, the graying of the foliage, the look of mild distress that makes every instinct tell you to reach for the hose, those are signs of overwatering 9 times out of 10. Lavender under drought stress looks mildly subdued. Lavender in wet soil looks nearly identical. The difference is that one of those conditions is what the plant evolved for, and the other is what kills it. In winter, the rule is even simpler. You do not water. Not once. Not even if it has been dry for a month. Not even if the plant looks stressed. Wet roots combined with cold soil temperatures is the primary cause of death in established lavender across every zone where it is grown. More lavender is killed by kind November and December watering than by any temperature the plant will encounter in a zone where it is appropriately matched. The plant is dormant. It does not need water. Let it sleep dry. Of the first 3 secrets, which one is the one you have been getting wrong? Not the one that surprised you, the one you recognized. Drop it in the comments with your zone. Because somewhere in this comments section, a gardener is reading your answer right now and about to make a completely different decision because of what you write. This channel has spent 3 secrets giving you more specific lavender information than most gardening books contain. The real biology, the real variety names, the information the nursery tag never gives you. That is what we do here every single week. If you are not subscribed yet, this is the moment. Subscribe now so the next one lands directly in your feed. Secret number 4. You are pruning it wrong, and the wrong pruning is permanent. If you have ever pruned lavender and then watched it slowly open in the center over the following year, going hollow and woody with green growth only at the outermost tips of increasingly bare stems, raise your hand. That is not aging. That is not the plant getting old. That is the predictable result of incorrect pruning, and once it is established, it cannot be reversed. Lavender needs to be pruned twice a year. Both cuts are more aggressive than feels comfortable, and one of them has a hard boundary that, if you cross it, kills the branch permanently. The first cut comes in early spring, precisely when you see new green growth beginning to emerge from the gray winter stems. That is your signal. Take sharp, clean pruners and cut the entire plant into a tight, compact dome, removing about 1/3 of the green growth. Not a light trim, a real cut. One that reduces the plant visibly. You are resetting the shape and preventing the outward sprawl that leads to center dieback. The second cut comes right after the summer flowering finishes. Cut back the spent flower stems entirely and take another inch or two of green growth below them, again shaping into a dome. This one should feel slightly aggressive. If it does not, you have not cut enough. Here is the boundary, and I need you to remember this specifically. Never cut into the bare, brown, leafless woody stems at the base. Lavender wood does not regenerate. That is not a generalization. It is a biological fact. A stem cut back to bare wood will not produce new growth. It is dead from that cut point outward, permanently, regardless of how well you manage everything else. Always leave at least 1 inch of green leafy growth above the woody base on every stem you cut. You are trimming the living canopy. You are never touching the trunk. Gardeners who do this from the first year, even when the plant is small and the cuts feel unnecessary and slightly cruel, produce lavender that stays compact, productive, and structurally sound for 10 to 15 years. Gardeners who skip pruning cycles or cut too lightly produce plants that are unsalvageable within 3 to 4 years. The hollow, woody, split-open lavender you see in neglected gardens is not old lavender. It is incorrectly pruned lavender. Age has nothing to do with it. Of the first 4 secrets, which one genuinely surprised you? The one you had absolutely no idea about before today? Drop it in the comments with your zone. Secret number 5. The variety in your garden cannot survive where you live. This is the one that makes every previous secret irrelevant if you get it wrong. And it is the cause of death most gardeners never identify. Because the plant dies in winter, and they blame the winter rather than the variety they chose. Lavender sold at garden centers across America is not sorted by cold hardiness with any reliability. In most American garden centers, the majority of unlabeled lavender is a variety that is marginal at Zone 7 and genuinely tender below it. Not all of it, but enough that buying without a variety name in Zone 6 is a real gamble. A plant genuinely hardy to Zone 5 and a plant that will die in its first Zone 7 winter can sit in identical pots with identical labels 3 inches apart on the same nursery bench. The staff cannot tell them apart by looking. Neither can you. The only reliable information is the variety name, and most lavender sold in America is sold without one. Here is how to think about the 3 categories before you walk through the nursery door. If you are a beginner, or if you have lost lavender before and could not identify why, start with Lavender. Grosso and Provence are the 2 names to look for. These are the big, robust hybrid lavenders you see in commercial fields in photographs. They handle heat, they tolerate some humidity, they bloom heavily, and they forgive more mistakes than any other type. For most American gardeners in zones 5 through 8, Lavender is the smartest first choice because it builds confidence while you learn the system. If you live somewhere with genuine winters, zones 3 through 6, hard freezes, snow, extended cold, you need English lavender, the angustifolia species. Hidcote produces compact deep purple spikes on a tightly mounded plant, hardy to zone 5 with appropriate drainage. Munstead is slightly more open in habit with softer lavender blue and equal cold hardiness. Vera is larger with exceptional fragrance and documented Zone 5 hardiness. In cold climates, angustifolia varieties are the only category with reliable survival rates. Everything else is a gamble. If you are in a warm coastal climate, Zones 8 through 10, French and Spanish lavenders, the Stoaceae species with the distinctive petal tufts that most people find immediately charming, will give you the most dramatic performance. They are tender plants that genuinely hate frost. In cold winter zones, they are annuals. They are sold nationally as though this fact is unimportant. It is the most important fact about them. Walk into the nursery knowing your zone and the variety name you need before you select a plant. If you are in zone 6 or below, you are looking for a named angustifolia variety or a lavender. If the pot has no variety name on it, put it down. A lavender plant of unknown variety is a gamble that has already cost you enough money and enough disappointment. You have already lost enough of them. Stop buying the mystery plant. Here is the whole thing pulled together, the short version. Stop trying to help it. The spot you think is too harsh? That is the right spot. The watering schedule you have been following? Throw it out. The plant you bought because it looked healthy and full at the nursery with no variety name on it? That is the one that was never going to survive your winter regardless of anything you did. Give it your worst soil in your harshest location. Build drainage that feels excessive and plant on a mound. Water only when the soil is bone dry 2 inches down and you have had no rain for 3 weeks. In winter, do not water at all. Prune hard twice a year and never touch the bare wood. And buy only named varieties documented to survive where you actually live. Grosso, Provence, Hidcote, Munstead, those are the names. Everything else below Zone 7 without a label is a gamble wearing a garden center price tag. Here is what I want you to picture. A morning in late June, 2 summers from now. You walk outside with your coffee, and the lavender you planted this season is standing full and silver green in the early light, covered in purple spikes, fragrant from 10 feet away, and completely, entirely indifferent to whether you remembered to water it last week. You are not worried about it, you are not checking on it. You are just looking at it the way you look at something that finally belongs where it is. That plant is not lucky. It is not in a special location. It is just a plant that finally received the conditions it was designed for. That morning is closer than you think. These 5 secrets are the whole distance between where you are now and there. One question before you go. Which of these 5 secrets is the one that explains every lavender plant you have ever lost? Tell me which secret, and tell me your zone. Because the gardener reading your answer right now is standing at a nursery this weekend and about to make the same decision you made. What you write might be the thing that changes what they put in their cart. If this video gave you the real information behind every lavender failure you have ever had, that is exactly what this channel produces every single week. Honest, specific, no filler. Subscribe so the next video finds you directly. One more thing before you go. Next week on this channel, 5 perennials that look like lavender, perform like lavender, and thrive in every zone where lavender struggles. If you have a climate that fights lavender no matter what you do, too cold, too humid, too much clay, that video is going to show you what to grow instead. And at least 2 of those plants are going to surprise you. It goes live this week. If you are not subscribed, it will not find you. Hit that button now so it lands directly in your feed the moment it publishes. I will see you next week.